Welcome and happy belated New Year. It's a beautiful sunny morning in San Diego. So we're happy to be here rather than in the Midwest and even the South, where it's going to be a miserable time with climate. So thank you all for coming this morning. We have a great program featuring retired Captain Brian Drechler, who will be talking about the U.S. Navy SEAL Museum in San Diego. But before we get started, if I can have you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beat Army. Beat Army, yes. As you know, our programs are recorded live on Zoom. And for that, we'd like to thank the Coronado Public Library and its staff. And thank you, Selena Valladolid in the back, for operating all the audio visuals for us. The program will be available on the library's YouTube channel within a few days. So if you do know people who missed the program, it will be on the YouTube channel of the library. For those viewing at home, please mute your computer or device, and please turn off your cameras. You may use the chat box for the question and answer portion that will follow the program. For those of you in the room, please silence your mobile phones. And if you have problems hearing in the back, please raise your hands. We do provide coffee, and for that, we do ask for a $3 donation. That helps us defray the costs, and also we do make donations to the library out of that money. The only money we have no membership fees, so thank you for any of your donations for that fund. And now our own board member, retired Navy Captain Dave Landon, will provide the introduction to our speaker. Dave?
Morning. Brian, call sign Beef, Drechler. And I did ask him how I got the call sign Beef. Can't hear me? Is that better? How Brian got the call sign Beef, and I thought he might have done it because he was a member of the Naval Academy football team and also part of the SEAL team. I want to know if he got his from one of his SEAL shipmates, but he said actually it was when he was the water boy to his high school football team. So, so I guess I saw the pure tonnage that was available, and now he ended up playing football. Brian is the executive director of the Navy SEAL team. He's been here in San Diego and is also a retired U.S. Navy captain. I think that here in Coronado, we can't soy a dead cat without hitting a retired Navy captain. He did serve over 25 years as a SEAL team member. He graduated from the Naval Academy where he played football and is also a member of the Naval Academy Hall of Fame. His career highlights included serving as commander of the Naval Special Warfare Center and the commanding officer of SEAL Team 5, chief of staff of SEAL Enterprise, and U.S. Special Operations Command liaison to the Congress. He holds a master's degree in organizational management from George Washington University and received the Navy's prestigious Doctoral Leadership Award in 2017. Brian lives in Chula Vista with his wife, Susan, and his 3 children. So please help me join and Brian as he comes up to give us the latest on everything.
Morning. It is a beautiful Coronado day. You know, my son is in college in Boston, and My parents live in Myrtle Beach where it was 27 degrees. My dad called me last night. I'm like, yeah, it's 65. I'm in shorts drinking beer. But no, I'm very honored to be here. Hey, I know we've got a lot of veterans in the audience and spouses and families of veterans. So I always like to start off. Thank you for your service. And thanks for setting the standard for guys like me to try to follow and uphold. But hey, I'm very honored to be here. Very honored to be part of this team and this endeavor that we are undertaking. That it is something special, right? As Dave alluded to, I retired June of 24. A little over 25 years as a SEAL officer, just under 27 years in the Navy, and most of it was spent here in Coronado, right? So this place is very, very special to me. So when I got asked to join this team, it was an absolute honor and a no-brainer for me. Because what we are doing is we are building a world-class museum, and we are taking the approach that, like a church, right? Not to bring religion into it, but a church is more than a building. It's the people and what you do and the impact that you have and inspire people. So why San Diego? First off, there's always been a Navy SEAL museum in Fort Pierce, Florida since 1985. I often get asked why Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, Florida. That was where all the predecessors to SEALs trained for World War II, and that was where Hell Week was invented. So it is hallowed ground in naval special warfare. They were formed in 1985, and about 8.5 years ago, they collectively got together and said, why do we not have something in San Diego or Coronado? Right? When you think about it from a naval special warfare standpoint, the SEAL headquarters is here. Half the SEAL teams are here. All new SEALs or special warfare combat crewmen are boat drivers. They're produced here. So this is very much a center of gravity for naval special warfare. And then when you look even more broader than that, birthplace of naval aviation, you got a bulk of the Pacific Fleet here. Heavy Marine Corps presence. This is the biggest military city in the country. I would argue it's at least in the top 5 in the world. So it made sense from that aspect. And hey, big tourist destination. 32 million people a year come here. So what an opportunity San Diego presents for us to tell our story, inspire, and have an impact. So the museum, one could even argue, as they scaled, it's globally now. So 2 years ago, they erected a monument at Normandy to honor all the Navy combat demolition units that perished and displayed extreme heroism along with all the Allied forces at Omaha Beach. I mentioned the museum at Fort Pierce, Florida, and that's the rendition of the Olympic Center, but that's what we're going for, a world-class museum. When we want to tell 80 years of rich adaptive history, we want to have places for changes of commands, venues for people to meet and congregate, youth education. We identified we need about 50,000 square feet to do the job. So this museum and what we're trying to do is not jumping on a table. Hey, we got bin Laden. We've had success. Look at us. I didn't touch anything. What do you want me to do? Again, you saw, I didn't touch anything. You saw that, right? Okay, I think we're good. All right. That's right. That's right. What we're trying to do is tell the naval special warfare story through the lens of teamwork, service, commitment, responsibility, right? Similar to what the Midway does. We've got a close partnership with the Midway and the Maritime Museum. We're calling it the Maritime Triad. Right? If a family wants to go take their children or they want to learn about the rich heritage and tethered to the maritime domain and maritime commerce, you take your family to the Maritime Museum. If you want to learn about teamwork, leadership, training, right, through an aviation lens, you go to the Midway. What the SEAL Museum will do is show you that high-performing teams, the discipline, the responsibility through a commando lens. But realizing Naval Special Warfare clearly is not the sole proprietor of teamwork, discipline, leadership, responsibility. We'll tell that story through the commando lens, but we'll also, like any museum, want to tell the unique attributes or unique story to who we're representing. And what we feel that is selection and training. Right now, it's if the individual raises their hand, they want to become a Navy SEAL, including boot camp. They don't get hurt. They don't get rolled. It's 70 weeks just to get their qualification, their trident. Then they go through an 18-month workup. So they've got 2.5 years of training before their first overseas deployment. And that training continues throughout one's career. That creates adaptability, that training, high-performing groups together, doing, working hard, solving problems. But that adaptability is also at the highest levels. If you look at our 80-year history, every 20 years, something changed in the global landscape that caused the community to rapidly pivot as an organization and adapt. And then that creates repeated success. But again, not from a arrogant standpoint, but from a bias for action and innovation and agility, metering aggression to meet whatever the mission is. If we're tasked with giving immunizations to children at a village, we're handing out candy. You want me to guard a head of state, go on complete defense? We can do that. We need to do a surgical direct action raid. Okay, we can apply the appropriate aggression. So I mentioned we're looking at this as more than a building. And if you notice, really the museum is one pillar of 4 that we're trying to achieve. First and foremost, absolutely world-class museum. And that world-class is not only what we depict, what we show, the exhibits that we have, that we've got a tight relationship with the SEAL headquarters. We're within classification, but also how we conduct ourselves. Right. That's everything from getting accredited, right? Our policies, our procedures. But then we also want to have a close partnership and support the active duty component. And that's not just SEALs, that's the Navy, the Marine Corps, or anybody that we can assist and support veterans, special operators, and our families. And the last one is, look, we're going to be occupying right now we occupy a key piece of real estate downtown. So we want to give back, be an active partner in the Southern California region. That's with youth outreach at Promise Youth, youth leadership, working with law enforcement, education, and inspiring the next generation. So building one in our journey for that 50,000 square foot facility, we got offered what was the old Museum of Contemporary Art. It's about 3 blocks in from the Midway, directly across from the Santa Fe train station. And we, quite frankly, got an incredible deal. A lease rate that even I can afford, $1 a year for 33 years. So how could we not jump on that? So the showcase is exactly what it is. If you think about 2,000 home developments, what's the first thing that goes up? Sales center model home. So this is 10,000 square feet. It is a world-class experience. I'll go through it. It's blended format. There's written word, there's interactive, there's videos, there's virtual reality. So there's artifacts, there's something for everybody. But again, this is 10,000 square feet. This is just kind of the appetizer. And we are fortunate enough that right now we have a little over 60 docents. So I'm sure most of you have been to the Midway. You see the docents with the yellow hat, right? The Midway, back to being close partners, they pretty much not only did they give us their training plan for their docents, but their head docent sat in all of our training. So we're lucky to have over 60 docents. We've got Don Crawford in the back is actually our lead docent. So we have, and that also, when you think about, I mentioned in Coronado and San Diego, biggest military city, right? We often just think about active duty, but when you start thinking about the veterans that are here, it's a significant demographic as well. So we've got 60 of those docents. Most of them are former SEALs, combat veterans. And honestly, it's just it's fantastic for me to watch when children engage and speak with our docents, and they're filling in the gaps, right? Because with 10,000 square feet, we couldn't fit everything. And the docents are there to answer the questions. They talk about the teamwork. I didn't touch anything. Yeah, I'm waving a lot. You want me to put my hands in my pockets? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, but you said speak into the mic. That's all right. Hey, I've been through Hell Week. I'll fight through the back cramp. So there's the exterior. So it's One America Plaza. Like I said, it is directly across from the Santa Fe train station. What you'll see, that is a shot of one of the main exhibit halls. Directly above, you'll see one of our mini subs, the SIL delivery vehicle. It's a wet submersible. Wet meaning they're wet inside and they're on a breathing apparatus, but that actually was in use in the Naval Special Warfare inventory. You have for those, because of classification, I could not do a simulator. And to be honest, if it was a simulator, you and the kids would be bored to tears. So this is, think video game, simulator, had a kid, and this is it. But it's a neat experience, free of charge. So we basically go through the 80-year history of the community. I think one aspect of Naval Special Warfare, to really understand the community and back to the adaptability, you do got to see it chronologically. So I think slightly different than if I took my child to the Midway and they saw an F-18, I wouldn't have to walk them through. Well, you had the Wright brothers, Sopwith Campbells. They're like, Dad, I get it. Planes fly. This is really neat. I want to go watch Maverick. But for us, you just see that evolution. You know, the naked warriors in World War II and the little equipment that they had. Then we get into the frogmen, into Korea, and these they're green, archaic dry suits. I still don't know how they did what they did. And then you get into Vietnam, right, which is really the birth of the SEALs. And then into the 80s and the global war on terror and how we continue, adapt, and evolve to today, and how they're pivoting now, getting back that expertise in the maritime domain for the China's, Russia's, North Korea's, and Iran's of the world. Interactive, latest technology. So that is our memorial wall. Right now that captures, those are like two big iPads. So we wanted a little bit more than a name and a picture to honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. So if you look back at all the SEAL predecessors from World War II to today, killed in training, killed in action, we're over 350. So that speaks to a database at Fort Pierce. So the unique aspect of this, because it is interactive, I can update it. We've had families come in and, right, yes, my grandfather was Brian Drechler, but guys, he went by Beef. No problem. Sir, can you fill this out? We'll update it. Or with a lot of the World War II veterans that we've lost, we don't have photos. So I can constantly update this. Or honestly, you know, no one's perfect. We've missed some dates on this, and families have allowed us to correct it. This is our immersive theater. So this is right on the ground floor, right when you come in. I'll just highlight a couple of things on this. So it's immersive because it's 3 walls of screen. You know, David mentioned I retired. I was the Commodore of the Naval Special Warfare Center, so that oversaw all the training in the community. And BUDS was one of our major missions. And that 2 years, and before that, I was 3 years the chief of staff at the headquarters for the Admiral over the whole 10,000 person organization. In that 5 years, we not only did not let anyone film, we didn't let any outsiders into Hell Week. Last February, they let us film the entirety of it. So you'll see aspects of Hell Week in there. On the floor, however, I just want to point this out. That is what we call the compass rose. So that is actually on the quarterdeck or the entryway right now for BUDS. So every candidate walks over this, and what is on it, you have on the outer ring, that is the BUDS grinder. It's where all the physical evolutions take place and the swim fins are painted. On the walls, each cardinal direction of the grinder, all right, are key tenets. The most noted one is, or known, is the only easy day was yesterday. And then it's got discipline, right? What got you here, what you did yesterday got you here to today. You got to earn it every day, right? Abandon self, embrace team, right? That's about responsibility. Be someone special. That's not arrogance. That's, hey, self comes last. Team, teammate, self. It's about commitment. And then deed is all, not the glory. It's about service. It's not about accolades, right? Especially, which I think is another good aspect of the museum. May be aware there's been a few SEAL books, one or two. All right. Actually, I think we're up to 14,000. That I'm not exaggerating. So we can control that narrative, and we can tell our story. We can depict what it's like, because directly on the back side of this wall is the Medal of Honor recipients and the SEAL ethos and the SWIT creed. That depicts what the expectations are, who we are, what we represent. And then you've got the national treasures that embody it, and the 7 SEAL recipients and the 5 predecessors to the SWIT. So this video, I love it. We've gotten great feedback on it. So it's told through the lens of 8 different interviews. Everybody from our CEO, retired 3-star admiral. We have a spouse telling her side of the story. I've been married 27 years. What I put that poor woman through, she doesn't deserve a medal. She deserves a holiday. And anybody that says families don't serve, you're wrong, right? So we have the spouse telling her story, right? And it's segmented into commitment, responsibility, discipline. We talk about service in a minute, but that's upstairs. That's the last thing a guest sees. So we have virtual reality. This is really, really neat. So a former Navy SEAL, when I was the chief of staff, one of the issues that we had that was always a constant challenge was training for terminal control. So that's talking to planes to get a bomb on target. Because if you think about planes in the air, bombs, gas, that's a lot of money. So he actually wrote a virtual reality program that became recognized for training, got out, started a company called Havoc. And this is the virtual reality that we have. So he specialized in virtual reality for training. So these seats, they actually blow air. So you jump out of an airplane, get that experience. The seats vibrate. It's actually really neat. On the other side, we've recessed the wheelchair ramp. It was great. One of our first events that we had a BUD/S Class 12 graduate in a wheelchair. He hadn't jumped out of an airplane in a while, and he wanted to do it, so he was the first one to do it. So we've got 4-year-olds. I've got grandparents, right? So it's really neat. But again, I say that, I think we have yeah, so you can just see it. It's really accurate. But again, my kid's Fortnite video game is more graphic, but that's not what this is intended. Back to teamwork, leadership. This is, what do we think about when we mission plan? What's some of the communication? What's the flow and the speed of the unit of march? So it's really well done. We're getting great feedback on it. Then I mentioned service and what we want to do when we want to inspire and have an impact. This is the last wall that a guest will see at the museum, and we're calling it the call to action. You can see the John F. Kennedy quote, "That's not what your country can do for you, right? What you can do for your country. I humbly serve," out of the SEAL ethos. So all the interviewees are talking about the importance of service. But again, this is not a recruiting center. Certainly if an individual wants to go to BUD/S, we're hiring, but so's the Navy, so's the Army, the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Space Force. If that doesn't do it for you, go into law enforcement, be a first responder, volunteer at a soup kitchen, mentor, start a literacy program, start a neighborhood watch. So it's all about service to country, service to community, service to your neighbor. And the interviewees talk about it, but these 2 panels on the side are another big, large iPads, and they're interactive, and they are intended to invoke thought. So they go through different prompts. I'm interested in educating children. Here's some options. I'm interested in protecting my country. Here's some options. And then as a guest departs, you go down to another landing. We actually have QR codes for different organizations, and only a handful of them are military. kind of funny. You may or may not be aware, there's always been a little bit of inter-service rivalry between SEALs and the Marines. And so when I went to the Marine Corps, yeah, exactly. Although I come from a family of Marines, so the fact that I didn't go Marine, I to this day, they still give me a hard time. But when I went to the Marine Corps and I asked for a QR code for their recruiting site, I thought their heads were going to explode because they're like, what's the joke? But we have that. We have Father Joe's Kitchen, Monarch School, teachers unions. So it's just, again, serve something, right? And it's for all demographics, right? Again, meaning, hey, the 10-year-old that doesn't have his next step in life figured out yet. But if we inspire a dad that already has a career and he's like, hey, Beef, I'm not going to Buds. Well, hey, you can still serve, do a neighborhood watch, mentor a kid, right? So that's what it's all about. It's all about service. So I highlighted our location. You've got the Midway right here, Broadway Pier. We are right up. There's the Santa Fe train station right there, and we are directly across. This is One America Plaza. We're on the corner of Kettner and Broadway. That's the showcase. So building 2, the goal, mentioned it. We actually do have a site locked in. Unfortunately, right now we're in a dark area, non-disclosure agreement. I can't disclose it. This is the 3 to 5 year plan, and we're probably looking right about 85,000 square feet. So as we talk about the showcase, what is that showcase? Hey, and why we jumped on it, knowing that it's going to be a 3 to 5 year plan for the big museum. Number one, I can start generating interest immediately. I can start fundraising for the big one, but really we're learning a tremendous amount. Everything from weapons displays. To my knowledge, we were the only institution to display automatic weapons, or had a request to display automatic weapons that's not on federal property. So we had to work a whole bunch of stuff with that. So we were learning a lot, but honestly as well, we can start our public benefit programs. We're already working with San Diego Sheriff, with At Promise Youth, San Diego Police Department, both their youth leadership and their police officers, support to the active duty. So I touched nothing. Oh, you sure? Because you're kind of looking at me like I owe you money. Okay, all right. I'll keep my hands up like this. All right. But and start having an impact immediately. And then as we learn that, we start these programs, we're just going to scale it for the big one. And we'll still keep the showcase as part of a museum complex. Right, we did a lot of effort into that immersive theater. All right, what a great spot for youth education. There's things that I can do in that as well. So this is the goal, and the intent is impact. And again, a close partnership with the Midway and the Maritime Museum. All right, because again, very complementary messaging, and we just want to educate, inspire the next generation, and preserve that culture and heritage. So these are some of the programs that we've done. I mentioned the At Promise Youth. We've worked with the San Diego Sheriff, actually a member of our board, close friends with 2 sheriffs in North County that worked in the juvenile division, and they kept seeing repeat offenders, and it was just breaking their heart. Hey, there's got to be a better way that we can do this. So he sat down with them, and they wrote out a respect program. So it's like a multi-week program, but we're there. We'll do team building events. We'll speak with them, be mentors. But again, it's not, hey, this is how you jump out of a plane. This is how you become a sniper. Let's talk about teamwork. Let's talk about education, why that's important. Let's talk about overcoming adversity, right? I may not have the same background as you, but I've overcome adversity a little bit in my life, right? You talked about youth engagement. We've been doing that since 2016. Now we're just scaling it. Most recently, we kicked off a Youth Leadership Week for the San Diego Police Department. Right, we had about 85 kids in the audience and police officers, and by the end of the discussion, we had more law enforcement officers than kids, and it was a really good discussion and really neat way for us to give back in leadership initiatives. right? We are getting approached by not only other 501c3s, but corporate America for team building events, speaking engagements as well. And it's just, again, our way of giving back. And we're building upon the Trident House Charities venture that our museum in Fort Pierce has done. They've been given scholarships since 2016. They have a canine project, which is just incredible. It's a, if you ever see somebody suffering from PTSD, you give them an emotional support dog. It makes such a difference. So they've been doing that in 2016, and then direct family support as well. They have Trident House, so if a family's having a rough time, struggle, they can get to Florida, and it's like free vacation. And we've deliberately partnered with an organization called the Navy SEAL Foundation. So they've been in existence for a while. They are one of the premier supporters to Naval Special Warfare and the families, them amongst several others charities. But what we wanted to kind of unite the clans and form that premier partnership. Hey, let us preserve the history and heritage. A lot of our public benefit programs are going to be a little bit different than theirs, but we've got this nice synergy now with one of the main charities supporting the community, us, and the Naval Special Warfare headquarters. Just highlight here, ignore the individual on the right. He's got a face perfect for radio. But I mentioned our new CEO took the helm, Admiral Tim Szymanski. So he retired as a 3-star admiral. He was number 2 in all of special operations. So regardless of service, Green Berets, Air Force, Marines, he was the number 2. He commanded Naval Special Warfare Command. That's all the SEAL enterprise. So honored to be working. This is my 5th time working for him. Everywhere from Iraq, Afghanistan, here. He's just a superior human being. And this is some of our leadership. You can read it if you want. I just want to highlight, it's been for me an incredible learning opportunity. When you look at our board, it's diverse in every way, from different sectors of the economy. And you've got highly successful executives from JP Morgan up in Los Angeles, just wants to kind of serve and give back. Risk mitigation, that 40 years experience there. We've got the individual that helped, that was the personal rep of the Gaylord family to build the Gaylord. He's helping us out. So it's really experienced board, both military, but also different kind of sectors of the of corporate America. And that's it. I'll pause for any questions. Thank you.